Hey folks, how's it going? RedMaster here, and welcome back to another edition of Cards and Castles TV commentary, where today, I'm going to be honest, we've got some questionable plays to go over in some interesting matches. So without further ado, folks, let's go ahead and jump right into match number one to show you what today has in store for us. Alright folks, and match number one is going to be the Duke taking on Vasea Mel here, opening up with some Warlock Crusader taking on Warlock Pirates. And I have a feeling I know what Vasea is playing based upon the colors. He tends to run this green-red Awaken from time to time, which is questionable, to be quite honest. It can either be a very good high roll or a very good low roll, as many of the Awakened decks tend to be in general. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, see if the Duke can't find a way out of the situation that he's found himself in. As we open up the game here, and yeah, just based upon the hand, it is definitely going to be Awaken on Mel's side of things. You see the Imp, you see the Apprentice, and extra things like global buffs and burn here. So we'll see. Duke starts off strong with the Lumberjack, and to push in for some draw against the Imp, and I swear to throw off the burn from Imp as well. Hopefully he hits Castle though, so he can. Okay. So it does not hit the Lumberjack, or it doesn't hit the Castle unfortunately. So Imp no longer has to trade with the Lumberjack. Instead, gives Mel room to set up a Mage Apprentice, followed up by the Imp in a more aggressive position here. But the Tari's file going down kind of signals potentially Flamestorm in the next turn or so, which would be very good clearing out this mess here. And even with the Armory being thrown down now, honestly, it doesn't save the 2 units on board from what is a potential Flamestorm here. Let's see, we go Lumberjack into Coin, into Armory. Okay, so I don't see it yet. This gives Mel room to set up the Fat Bard here, which would be a great way to... Okay, doesn't go with the Bard. I would say that could be a great way to do some Flamestorm protection here. If the Bard gets played, that puts these units up to 3 health and kind of survives the Flamestorm. So it's kind of like Mel's banking on him not having the Flamestorm just because he didn't play it last turn. So instead, you know, Mel goes for the blue Firebolt, takes out Duke's Armory, and then goes for the Lumberjack himself, giving Duke, a little bit more Flamestorm value here. Duke, though, responds by doing the same play, hitting the Armory with Bolt. Again, that's actually probably pretty good, you know, more than he knows, considering that he didn't know Bar was in hand. But now this makes Bar a little less significant, obviously. Being played, that would give the units the +1/+1, but again, not enough to survive a Flamestorm, which could be a great equalizer to this board. So we're going to see Mel, at least at this point, play the Bard anyway, and I think he'll follow up, yeah, with a Blacksmith, because why not? Get the global buffs on the board while you can here, although Dragon's Fire could be a big possibility. No, okay, we don't see it. We see a Divine Knowledge, doesn't save us from a Flamestorm, though. Okay, instead we're going to hit the Bard with the blue Firebolt. Interesting there. That is fine. We're going to go for a Headwood then from Mel's side of things. So again, just kind of building up his Awaken engine a little bit here. I mean, we see Southport Assassin in hand as well. That could be very annoying to deal with. Instead, Duke doesn't really have a lot to respond with at this point. Just seeing a lot of Tarius files, which, to be fair, is a great sort of way to misdirect Headwood's burn. You know, burning a Tarius files gets Duke more draw. So, unfortunately, if we see the first burst hit the Blacksmith, the second, okay, it does hit a Tarius file, but also do a little bit of castle damage. That is fine, but opens up Imp to strike castles here. And, of course, the Lumber trade happening right now. Lumber not around to deal with the Imp. We'll see Mel go for an Armory as well before he charges in. Followed by the Assassin, which again, good for him, because that way, whatever Duke summons, if it is stronger, it does have a chance of being killed off by the Assassin here. We'll finally see a Flamestorm come down, though. That does eliminate the Tarius files here. We had a Banshee got thrown out the field, too, plus Salahar Rider. Okay, so kind of misdirecting the Assassin a little bit, which is fine. I mean, all of these units have last will potential. We'll see a, nice hit on the Salahar Rider from a Grotesque. Hits the Armory, of course, further weakening these units from mass board wipes like Dragon's Fire. Have yet to see one of those. And, of course, like we said, the misdirection with the last units paid off there. The Assassin dealing with the Rider. That does lead the Blacksmith to get killed off here. Although now we're going to see Vasea bring out the Golem and just make for a full push here. His hand, otherwise, not looking too good here. Execution is fine to deal with any sort of big threat that Duke might throw out this turn, but following that, I mean, Dwarven Scope and Fortify. Fortify not going to help him as much here, considering that, you know, these colors don't have status effects that he can bypass, you know, no freeze to worry about. Scope is okay, but all these units are not going to get over 5 attack at this point unless we see a Reawaken, so I don't know. I think the Golem is probably the best bet to get the Scope, but even then, not really the best options to have in hand at this point here, especially now when Krakus does hit the board here, and that's going to be a little bit frustrating to deal with. Of course, Execution able to do nothing against that, thanks to the mighty old card known as Deflect, or the ability known as Deflect, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, we do see the scope on the Golem goes for the Lumberjack. Fortify, I mean, you might as well here, and then, okay, holds the Dragon's Horde, which is okay. Might have seen it for execution, but, I mean, it makes sense to hold it here. Dragon's Fire, followed by a Dark Bender, or other way around, really. Looks like Duke is trying to get rid of this Golem. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case here. I think execution has to be played on the Dark Bender because, yeah, Krax has still got that deflect here and forces the Golem back, considering that execution takes up most of Mel's turn. You see the Headwood draw. He's not able to capitalize on this. He could have played a Dragon's Horde, but again, he's got nothing in the hand to ramp into. And this is what I meant when this deck could be a high or low roll, and that's pretty much how all Awakened decks do. If you take away their draw in the red-purple version, it falls into a similar pattern here, and I think green-red is very susceptible to fall more into this kind of state where you're running out of resources because you're just kind of playing everything. You want to get everything out on the board here, and when you just do it and it all falls apart, you have no way of recovering except for, you know, maybe some big draw, but, you know, Mel's not seeing that here, and I think Duke definitely has the advantage here. I mean, up so many cards, got a Krakus on board, Banshee in the back, it just looks to be going in Duke's favor here, and follows up with a Dragon's Fire and Hand of the Saint combo, so a bit of castle heal and getting rid of his last unit, and that's going to force Mel to surrender. He kind of sees no way out of it, so very well done by Duke, although, I mean, throughout that game, it was a bit rough for him. You know, all those early Awakens popping off in the right directions here, the burns just everywhere. I mean, that's what the Red-Green Awaken does. It specializes more in removal and burn, with things like the Assassin to supplement for the books, and it just becomes this big, ugly mess of, you know, hey, I can take out literally everything that you throw at me and until you pretty much have nothing left in your hand. But I think Duke did quite a good job to kind of survive past that and make a push with Kraxus. And again, going to show Kraxus' strength, honestly, as a whole, as a card in general here, I do think that if a change were to come through, Kraxus probably needs to be addressed, but that is another video for another time. With that being said, again, congrats to Duke for picking up the win here, but let's go ahead, jump into match number 2, and see what that one has for us. Alright, and following up in match number 2, we've got Cornado taking on Texans 99. A bit of an interesting matchup here as the Viking Warlock goes up against the Viking Crusader. Excited to see what both these players bring to the table, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. We see Dragons, okay, on Texans side of things, and kind of a full commitment to Dragons, too. You got Drake, you got, well, not Drake, you got Search for Truth, which is an interesting choice here, and Dragon Bolt. Usually cards that you don't run unless you're kind of fully committed to the Dragon archetype here, and that's what it looks like Texas is doing. Got the Dragon Temple Drake early on. That's going to be a great way to get some early damage in against Cornado here. Not able to throw out a turn 2 play or a turn 1 play. So going for the Freezing Pillar, okay, that's a bit of a unfortunate use of Pillar, but one that I think he has to take based on his current situation here. Dragon Bolt onto the Faithful Drake, that will carry a reduction. Even though he's not getting the chain benefit out of that, he is getting a cost reduction, which is still nice. Cornado, meanwhile, going to go ahead and play the Dark Bender of that, because it's going to set him up for removing this Faithful Drake, hopefully. As Texan passes the turn, doesn't want to commit to anything, no lore, no Aeroth at this turn either, makes sense. Instead, allowing Cornado to set up for a Temple here. Now, this is, of course, a very fun, dangerous combination here. Darkbender Temple. Temple, what a card. What a card. I mean, Dragon Temple's on the other side, but this Temple, whole lot more powerful, and you know, and that's just been proven at this point. We'll probably see Texan go for the Search for Truth here. Yep, there it is. If he decided to hold out at this point, and drawing to the Dragon's Aura just seemed likely that he would go for it. And does pick up quite an interesting grip with this hand. The Temple, Yenneroth, and Ice Weaving, that Yenneroth will stay reduced past the Dragon Bolt that's already been played onto the field. So even when, you know, say Dragon Bolt gets played, Yenneroth can come out. Actually, he can come out now for a whole lot cheaper, but instead goes for the Ice Drake. I'm not sure if he remembered the fact that Yenneroth would get canceled out here, but this makes sense. He goes for the Aeroth Ice Drake combination to get rid of this Dark Bender. I assume that's going to be the play here, right? Yep, okay, get rid of the Dark Bender, and that makes more sense to me. Hold off on the Yenneroth. You don't need to desperately play it right about now, so this is the correct move. Instead, it looks like Cornado going to go for a Freezing Pillar in response, followed up by the Coin Vampire play to protect this Pyromancer. Now, before getting the Pyromancer shot in onto the Aeroth, though, to ensure that Vampire trades and not just weekly blocks for the Pyromancer here. We'll see how Texan responds. Got a lot of Dragon Lords in his hand. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, goes for the Yenneroth. That makes sense. I mean, there's not much else he can do. Instead, looks like he's going to go for the double Dragon Lord. So he is prepping, perhaps, for a Dremoth in the next turn here. that would be probably pretty big here, as the cards in red, blue. I mean, you have some options, but maybe not in hand here, especially now that we're seeing all these cards being played. Pyromancer, Dragon Knight. Not think that he's going to be able to need, or to use, excuse me, to take out the Dreadmoth here. So we are going to see Dreadmoth get played. That is going to do no castle healing, unfortunately. He does go for the Faithful Drake. So that way, of course, Pyromancer can fall. Oh, excuse me. Actually, no. Makes more sense to hit the Freezing Pillars, so that way we don't freeze the Yenaroth. That was big dumb of me. However, he does do a bit of a misplay here and goes for the Mystic Journey on the Yenaroth, which would have been fine, except that you decided to freeze after you played Dreadmoth, and now Dreadmoth is effectively useless. So, might have been an oversight. Maybe he wasn't expecting to play the Mystic Journey at this turn at all, but then after realizing the position he was in, maybe he decided to kind of shotgun it, which is fine. But unfortunately, again, the Dreadmoth being played beforehand, I mean, you just lost your Dreadmoth. Whereas you could have played Journey first, you would have frozen the board, get it all nice and prepped, and then Dreadmoth can follow up, and that way you kind of keep your Dreadmoth active for your next turn. Instead, now Dreadmoth going to lay dormant for a turn or two here. So we'll see if that hurts him. I don't think so, considering that you got some big bunguses on the board, the 8-9 Yenaroth, the 11-10 Dreadmoth, and with, things like Ranger being played, you'll sure will trade off the Yenaroth, but you still have an 11-10 to deal with, and decides to go for a Cultist to block. But yeah, this is what I mean. Like, if Dreadmoth was, unfrozen at this point, it'd have a much bigger impact on the board. You would be able to take out things like the Pyromancer and Cultist very easily, but instead you just kind of, set up this weird position where, hey, if you had Chain, big props to you, but at this point, not in hand at the moment. So we'll see how he decides to take the turn here. I assume, okay, we're going to go for an Arbiter, not the turn I was thinking of, but hey, looks like we're going to go for that, and hitting the Blacksmith of all things, so going to make sure that these units can't actually take out the Dreadmoth. Okay. I would assume maybe we could have thrown like a Green Drake out on the board here and did some fun things with that. But okay, you wanna weaken these units so that way they can't interact with the Dreadmoth, despite I think everything is going to be able to make a trade here. Pyromancer, yeah, okay, does the finishing blows. Even with the Blacksmith removed, everything still connects into the Dreadmoth and is enough to take it out. Although it doesn't really have a follow-up play, instead going for the School of Magic, which is going to be signifying that this deck is a, Chain Explosion type shenanigan here. School of Magic, Temple, cards that go very well together when out on the board at the same time here. But now we're going to play the Green Drake and Faithful. At this point, we're going to make a charge into the board here just to kind of remove some, or put some pressure on the game at this point. Although that does get kind of slowed a little bit by the Yenaroth approaching here, following up with a Storm Strike. That doesn't do that. Will that be enough? Yes, that will be enough. Alright. So yeah, in a bit of a rough position here is Texan, as he's really just top decking at this point here. Looks like he's going to go for the Arbiter. Does take out the Pyromancer. That's fine. I don't really have much else to do, to be quite honest here, as everything else is, looking a bit nasty. Fortunately, that Yenaroth can't hit Castle based on its, distance away from the castle, but Horseman looks like it's going to come out. That's going to do some damage, kill off the remaining unfrozen unit. As Texan goes for his next turn. Search for Truth, Dragon Search. Could draw something off of that. Goes for Search first. So looking for a cheaper dragon. Pulls a Dreadmoth, which is fine, but it's not really a cheap dragon that we can throw out this turn. Follows up with Dragon Searches. Pulls Faithful Fire Drake and Ice Drake in the wrong order, unfortunately. And it does... yeah, no. I think we would have liked to see an Ice Drake first, but... yeah, unfortunately... RNG kind of screwed him on that one. I feel kind of bad, but yeah, if you pulled the Ice Drake off the first one, he probably could have used that to freeze off this Yenaroth from dealing big damage, because you never know, Cornado might have things like Lightning Blade in deck, which could do some big damage here. Probably not kill the castle, but has a very good chance to, I would say. Well, let's see what happens. We'll see Cultist destroy the Ice Drake. Rune Warrior comes in, Sheep to the Slaughter onto the Yenaroth to allow him to take out the Temple and deal a bit more chain damage. That's okay. That's fine. I can understand that, play there. I mean, you don't really have much else to work with, so you might as well push for all the damage you can here. But here's where the Dreadmoth comes into play here. Big Boy going to restore the castle a little bit. Kill off the Yenaroth while also surviving with a good chunk of health here. Although we do leave Rune Warrior and Cultist on the board here. That's probably going to do some damage, not as much, because of course the explosion is not going to do as much as it would if the Dreadmoth was closer. Well, let's see here. Take out some damage. That seems fine. Following up with the second Yenaroth. Okay. Pretty good, because now you freeze off the Dreadmoth that he can't really do much. Although I think we have enough in our hand. Ooh, more so now with the Lightning Blades. Yes, please. So yeah, we're going to see Ice Drake come out, yet the more powerful one from the Search. Okay, that's going to take out the Cultist and the Yenoroth with the Lightning Blade. Yep, that gets traded off. Following with the second one to connect perfectly with the Rune Warrior. Ooh, okay, alright. I mean, he's wasting a lot of heals, and I'm not sure if he can survive, but does Cornado have anything to kind of keep him back? Okay, he's got the Minotaur. This is the, oh, no. Oh, is that the game? I think it might be. Considering that you have Minotaur here, you see, the problem with this, right? Minotaur is up here, but the Drake has flying, so it just yeets right over the Minotaur. Now, if Cornado was to play the Minotaur back here, he would have taken a lot less damage, and I think might have won the game, actually, if he had not decided to push forward so aggressively, right? Yeah, because Lightning Blade happens, and yeah, ooh, the double Dragon Ball here, I think that's going to be the ender. Yep, and throws the second one on for good luck, just to make sure. But I think he's got more than enough lethal to deal anyway. 3, and then followed up with the 2 from the Dragon Ball. Yeah, just 1 over, but still enough to end the game here. So Texan does walk away with the win. Despite some questionable plays there, did pull out the win with the classic blue-yellow dragons. Good to see them back in the... Well, maybe not so much, because everyone's got a little bit of a annoyance for dragons at this point. But hey, winning out in a way that... Yeah, it was questionable. Definitely questionable here. I think Cornado definitely opened up a bit. Forgot that the Drakes had flying, and that kind of allowed him to get hit by some big Ice Drake damage. But yeah, that is what it is. So congrats to Texan for winning this matchup, going on and hopefully doing good things. I have no idea. But let's go ahead and jump into match number 3 here, and let's see what our final match has in store for us today. Alright, and for our last match, it will be a mirror matchup here as Maske goes up against BMF. Not gonna speculate what that is for, the meaning of that. But yeah, a Pirate Crusader mirror matchup. Now, might see a school here, I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Also, hi Bolas. I didn't showcase another one of your matches this week, or this time around. I just didn't. Oh boy. Okay, so it looks like we're going to start off here as Maske goes for the early Lumberjack. That's fine. BMF does not have a response, so it looks like we're going to pass it back. Lumberjack does connect to the face here. Medal of Bravery into the Con Artist. Okay, so probably a bit of a school deck then if we're seeing Con Artist, because of course that combo of gaining gold can trigger the school very easily here, as B does the same here. Goes for a Con Artist of his own here to get some ramp going. We'll see if Maske's got the... Yep, he does. Okay, School of Knowledge going down, so this is where School's going to just take off and School go burr. Daggerstorm as well, hitting off the Con Artist. That's a very heads-up play by Maske, of course, negating anything that, you know, BMF has for ramp. Looks like Serpent Witch, though, is going to come out regardless. That will stun the Con Artist. That does get Maske some more draw, though, because, of course, each combo gains a gold. Each gold gain gets a card draw, so... Yeah, now we're going to see just School begin to take off massively here. Merchant Estate going down, going to be a continual flow of gold. Murder onto the Elvish Thief, and a connection to the castle, which, to be honest, I don't agree with this play here. I think if you're in the position, you definitely want to get rid of this Con Artist, because this right here keeps getting more draw and keeps the greed engine going. Whereas if you kill it off with Serpent Witch, you still have a fairly healthy 2-3 body. Sure, you don't get the castle damage, but... I don't think it matters if you can kind of pile up later on when the greed deck is out of resources. So, again, I do think a bit of a misplay here. Should have connected to the Con Artist to kind of get rid of it and slow down the card draw just a fair bit just a fair bit. That'll work. But going on, of course, in the matchup here, Con Artist connects to the face, so that does lead... to an early execution play. So kind of negating that Serpent Witch here, although another one is in hand. We're going to go for a Paladin, though. This connects to the Con Artist, finally removing it from the field. And that's what I meant. Like, you know, you probably could have kept Serpent Witch if the Con Artist was dead, because you wouldn't have that gold gain enough to, you know, pop an execution. So, I don't know. I definitely feel like, you know, leaving it alone was not the right play. But regardless, Daggerstorm comes back out into the board here. We're going to go ahead and chip away at the Paladin. Not going to kill it yet, so this Paladin could theoretically go for a connection onto the Southport Captain, although that does give the Karasume in the back some room to work with. We're going to go for it anyway, though. Captain does die. And we'll follow up with a Serpent Witch and the Blacksmith, I assume, in the back. Yep, just like that. Okay, so and then we're gonna leave Maske with the Karasume bounce to the Matty, right? We're gonna do a little bit of this. Okay, Master I don't. Okay, could have gotten a free Matty bounce there, but instead deciding to go for a Master Thief removal, which feels ominous. But I guess you just want to protect your units a bit more, be more threatening here. This does allow Kraken to make his presence felt, though. Does hit the School of Knowledge, interestingly enough. We're not going to want any more draw, it looks like, coming out from Maske in this game, or at least that's the idea. Karasume does to go ahead and target that that Kraken, though, allows for a Lumberjack bounce to connect for the kill. Following up, Dread Pirate makes his appearance. I believe he is going to, okay, ooh, get scope here. That's going to go for the Serpent Witch here. They're going to go a bit of gold gain for Lore Master. Thankfully, not really drawing into any more resources because School of Knowledge did indeed fall. Does allow B, though, to go into a reinforce. Ooh, Parrot Rush. Could be nice when we get some ramp cards, because right now we're not seeing them. Decides to go for an armory and just sort of play it cool at that point, not setting up an estate for any sort of extra ramp. Meanwhile, Maske goes for the play that would make any grown man cry. Armory, School of Knowledge, and a Craxus down your throat. There's B's school, a little late for that, but hey, I guess better late than never, as his Craxus comes out, his own Craxus, takes out the Matty, gets a little to draw for himself. Execution in the hand, that could be nice at dealing with something like a Lore Master or a Robbins, whichever one he finds more threatening at the time, although I think both are going to be coming into play to remove the Craxus, if I'm not mistaken. Oh. Lich Freeze. Doubly gross. Go into a smuggling ring for some additional spells from the ramp. Okay, gotta play the ship. And we'll see school begin to pop off, which is unfortunate. But that is what it is. We'll go for an armory, make it, okay. Just smacking it around. And I don't think B's got any way out of this, so I think, unfortunately, gonna pop the execution onto the Lich, see if he can freeze anything. Does not get anything worthwhile to affect the game. Mugging on the Robbins to slow it down a little bit, but he knows this game is over, and I think it should be if we see a connection, right? After all the draw here. Oh, that's disgusting. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, okay, guys. We need to talk about this. This is not okay. Whoever decides to hand your opponent that is just toxic BM, bro. That is absolutely terrible. There's no benefit in doing that. You're just being an asshole. Okay. I assume, okay. You know what? I've got my title now. You see the title. Don't like harass. Okay. You know what? I shame this man. I shame this man, and that's all we're gonna do. We're gonna shame this man. So he's gonna play out the rest of his turn, and then I assume pass it back, right? Because that's just the way we're playing today. It looks like. B is probably a bit, flustered by this. Gonna go for a school merchants, cause why not? You got the ramp for it. Another merchants, cool. Probably pop a Parrot Rush, I assume at this point, right? Yep, goes for a Parrot Rush. I think some of them are gonna probably connect into the Robbins here. Despite that giving Maske more draw. Yep. He's got more options here. Okay, goes for the Mordok. Alright, interesting. Looks like we're going to try to remove the Craxus, although not really enough to do that. But we'll fill his hand up at least, so that way, he won't be able to draw anything from all these gold gains and other effects here. As we pass it back, we'll see if he decides to continue. Oh, my word. That's not what you do. You end the game. You move on. Oh. Yep, okay. You end the game. Okay, well, you know what? Not gonna congratulate you there, buddy, because that was a little toxic, not gonna lie. Hand to the Saint to extend the matchup, despite your opponent already just losing. I always think it's just more respectful to end the game and have them move on to the next challenge. They might be feeling a little upset. You don't want to kind of keep them in there, and it's just rude. It really is. So, yeah, that is shame on you, pal. Shame on you. That is not the way we do things. But, all right. Well, that is our final matchup for today, so a bit of a weird note to end it on, but let's go ahead and close out this video. Alright folks, and with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this edition of TV Commentary. If you did, let me know your thoughts by leaving down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, if you haven't done so already, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe if you're new or haven't done so already. It is the best way that you can show your support here to the channel and help us grow. Just clicking that subscribe button helps a ton, and really appreciate you if you do. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for me for now. So with that being said, until next time guys, stay gaming.